Okay, I'll do this quick one. I'm tired. And then whenever you do a video, for me, you gotta, you know, little review, then you write notes. But it's Monday morning, and I figure I was not gonna do it because I'm tired. But I got up early, and about 4 o'clock, so I posted a regular teaching post and was doing the things about science, right? So anyway, I got up and prayed, and it takes about 3 hours to do the whole teaching in the morning and the praying and everything, which is fine. It's Monday morning. But I normally do an intercession time. I've kind of did this with you guys before, prayed it with you guys. And then after my third, there's like 3 categories of pray for the nations, pray for the children, those suffering. It's a very, organized Monday, Friday intercession. But then right at the end, before I do the Lord's Prayer, the Our Father, I usually worship and have all my candles going and incense and just worshiping. But because I had some stuff to do, I thought, Lord, I'm going to do the Our Father right now, at the end of my prayer, and not extend it like I normally do. So I did the Our Father. Then I said, I hope that's okay, because at the end I rushed it. But it was early, so it was still dark. And then I came in to do my video, to work on it, and then I heard some music. And I'm like, what is that? And it was like Christmas music. And I said, what is that coming from? And because it was dark, I looked over here, and I saw some lights. Now I'm going to show you something, all right? That little Christmas decoration, I bought these maybe 5 years ago, 4 years ago. All these little things. And one of them here, this is a wind-up Ferris wheel, but that one there, those have batteries. And when I bought them at Lowe's years ago, of course they had batteries in them. And then I'd hit them in the morning. I did a video a few years showing you my little carnival. And all the lights would be on and they would make music. But I ran those batteries out. Look, those batteries have been out for at least a year because I hit them every morning. And then finally, they didn't last long. But right when I got done praying and said, I hope that's okay, I'll tell you, and I'm not hallucinating, that was lit, going, and the music was on. And look, those batteries are dead. Now, I tried to catch it on video. I said, I'm going to see, and I turned my phone on. You say, but you could be making, well, why would I make any of that up? And then I thought, I'll do a little video, and I could tell you something like that, another instance that happened. I got pictures of my mom and sister, my sister who passed away. This might even be the light of the other story. But when I started going back to New Jersey, every year, in 2012, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, it was like a commitment. My dear sister Laura, who passed away in 2013, but I led her to the Lord, and when I got into the Bible and into the Lord, I wrote her letters back in those days about Christ. But she did become a Christian, and she still struggled with drug addiction throughout her life. But, my mom used to say, she really, John got her into the Bible and listened Christian radio and all that. So, one year when I was back there, my mother, after my sister had passed away, my mother has a nice picture of my sister on the wall in the living room in the house I grew up in New Jersey. I got pictures of it here and all of my trips back. So my mom knew I was making these rides to New Jersey, this 1,800 miles from Corpus Christi to New York City, which is basically exactly where I go in New Jersey, right on the Hudson River. And so she bought me like these lights. I think that's the one. But she bought me, oh, John, here's a nice little light I bought you at Walmart in case the car breaks down on the side of the road. You can, it's a nice light. Has like a flasher. So one of the last nights on one of my trips, I had that light, and I'm sitting in the living room with my mother at night and getting ready to leave early, like at 2 a.m., 3 a.m. When I head out. I'm impatient. And as we're sitting there, she says, oh, how did you get that light, John? I'm sitting there with, I think it could have been this one. If not, it was one like it. And I'm sitting there, and I have the batteries out. And she says, oh, how did you get that light to light Laura's picture like that? It's just blinking. My sister's picture was blinking. Now, I didn't see it, but my mom's sitting there looking at it in the living room. And I said, what do you mean? She said, how did you get that light to light her picture like that? And so I showed my mom that the batteries were not even in, because she bought me batteries. I said, Mom, this light is not even, the batteries aren't even in this light. Then my mom got scared because she saw my sister's portrait lighting up. And then I said, I don't see it lighting, Mom. I said, but I believe you. I said, and she got scared. And I said, but I explained to her, I said, sometimes things happen to confirm things, and we don't go by those signs. But look, things like that do happen. And when my little Ferris wheel, the batteries have not worked in that for a couple of years, when it was going off this morning, without me even touching it, after I finished the prayer, I said, I hope that's okay. I ended quick. And that thing was going off. And it wouldn't have even made the lights unless I wouldn't have seen it because it was still dark. There were a lot of scriptures. I went to see David, this was like a year ago. I haven't seen him recently. But his girlfriend Jackie and them, and David has PTSD. David Martin had a lot of physical problems. And one year after I'm making all these trips, I go fast, I'm going up north and going low. And then I showed up to make my visit. And Jackie says, John, you have PTSD, because she can recognize it. I said, well, I probably do. You feel that stress, That was a few years ago. I just wrote a verse down from Isaiah. I just figured I'd do the video now, because I've been talking somewhat about it. But the one from Isaiah, it's Isaiah 54. O thou afflicted, tossed with tempest, and not comforted. Behold, I will lay your foundations with sapphires. Your windows will be like agates, your gates are carbuncles, your borders are precious stones. I quote Isaiah 54 a lot. I didn't have time to do it on one of the teaching videos in depth, but when I went into Rock City the other day, I already made a video on that. But I tried to share all the verses from the Mass. But that verse from Isaiah 54, I think I quoted it, but it was on the front of the pamphlet for the Rock City Church, which is another one from Isaiah 54. Enlarge the place of thy tent, let them stretch forth the curtains of thine habitations. Strengthen the bars of your gates. Lengthen your cords. You will break forth on the right hand and on the left. Your seed will inherit the Gentiles, make the desolate cities to be inhabited. I'm doing Mark's gospel. I think I'll teach the next one tomorrow, but there's a scripture in the crucifixion of Mark, the crucifixion of Jesus recorded in Mark's gospel, but it talks about he made his grave with the wicked in his death, which was talking about Jesus crucified with the two thieves. And it says that was a fulfillment of another prophecy in Isaiah 53. Because He was numbered with the transgressors, made intercession for them. Because of that, you will see his seed, the pleasure, Lord, prosper in his hand. Because he died with the sins of the world upon him. Therefore, there are so many scriptures in the Isaiah 54:1 is, more are the children of the desolate than the children of the married wife, saith the Lord. Paul will use that in his letter to the Galatians, talking about the seed, the promise. It's an in-depth teaching, but he'll use these verses from the Old Testament, the Apostle Paul, and say it's not talking about natural Israel, but all the spiritual children of Abraham who have the faith of Abraham, whether they be Jew or Gentile. But if you look at those verses, rejoice, O barren, thou that didst not bear. Break forth into singing and cry loud, thou that didst not have children. So rejoice, O thou afflicted, tossed with tempest and not comforted. So when you are embracing all of that, the cross, all that's life, you see. That's life. I won't go long on this simply because I wrote the note to share that with you. But God's working, and these are little things I share, these little examples I share with you. I've given you a few. There are other things that I've talked about over the years. But that's what I want you to see. There's another one I wrote down when I was doing all these little carnival things and saving them and making them or buying them. There's another one there, but I'm not going to do that one right now. There's a scripture that says, your sons are for signs and for wonders. Your sons are for signs and for wonders. And I remember when I was first making these trips back to New Jersey, and I said, I got to meet some guys in the streets. Now, some of those friends you've seen over the years. But I had in this little journal I made in 2012-13, I was putting some old pictures in New York, writing scriptures in it. And I don't make journals like diaries or anything. But that year I put verses and pictures because I had a commitment. I said, I'm going to start going back. So I made this nice little journal. And in one of the pages, I used to put an ad. I used to actually put an ad of the website in the Jersey Journal, Bergen Record. I ran like a little ad of the website. And the Jersey Journal is an old, very long newspaper, been there for many years. And it's in Journal Square in New Jersey, spots where I walk. And I remember I cut out a picture from one of the papers that I had. They used to send me the Jersey Journal, sort of like to show me, we ran your ad, because I was paying monthly for that little ad. And so I cut out a picture, and it's in there somewhere in that journal, just an actual cutout of a picture from, the 1960s, maybe, 70s. Just an old picture of the Jersey Journal and the building there on the Hudson River. And after I had put it in that little journal, just a picture, I noticed right before I went back to New Jersey, I said, whenever they took that actual picture of the building of the Jersey Journal where it is, there by Hudson River area, there must have been a carnival going on because there was an actual Ferris wheel in the picture. And I thought, God's going to give us a carnival, the imagery of a carnival. That's why I was making all these buying these carnival legs. And then I kept saying, well, maybe I'm going to go to some big carnival up in New Jersey, and I kind of wasn't really figuring out exactly, but that image was in my head. And even till this day, whenever I see they set up like a little carnival in Corpus Christi, sometimes on Ayers, I'm like, okay, that's a sign, and that's how I am. But when I was in New Jersey for 3 months in 2013, I got there a few days right after my sister passed away, planning to go back there. And I met all those guys in the streets. Some Nick and all these guys just hanging out on the streets. They thought, who's this guy John? He must be some undercover cop. And I said, no, I do ministry, guys. So after 3 months, and I was getting ready to come back to Texas, never forget, I'm thinking, oh, the carnival was speaking of God's going to give us people. Your sons are for signs. Your sons are for wonders. It's what God's going to do with people. My friend Nick, who's got 2 amputated legs. I mean, he doesn't have legs like my friend, the girl D you saw the other day. The last day, one of the last days getting ready to come back to Texas, Nick curses, but those guys curse. And he said, John, this must have been some effing carnival for you. My 3 months up there. And then Nick says, I'll never forget this, and he's a musician. A lot of people that are musicians have these gifts, whether they're dedicated to God or I see these gifts in them. It says, I'll pour out my spirit on the rebellious also. That's another one from Isaiah, that the Lord might dwell among them. And then he said, I don't know why I said carnival. He was prophesying. This must have been some effing carnival, John. And they said, why did I say carnival? I didn't even explain it to him, but that was the imagery, the word of the Lord, about your sons being for signs, your sons being for wonders. So, all of you in leadership, what you're building is the people. And as they are on their journey, those are the signs, those are the wonders. It's through those people. And so, it's really not just a platform for us, meaning pastors or preachers, it's for the people. And then they're going to be these wonderful signs that God will give. So, I'll add this. Oh, I already did like 18 minutes. I could have done the whole Isaiah 54. Look, now I didn't even write this one. I wrote this the other day. This ain't the one I wrote this morning. And I just grabbed it. I didn't have a plan. Behold, because these are all the little, over the weeks, see how many I wrote? Any verses that come to, I said I'm going to write that one, I'm going to post it, but I haven't put those up on the wall yet, like all these other ones. So there's about, 35. I just grabbed it. I didn't have a plan. Behold, I and the children whom the Lord hath given me are for signs and for wonders in Israel, from the Lord of hosts. Now, look, which dwelleth in Mount Zion, and I had this something painted on the house, and I changed, and one of the guys asked me, what's CCOM? I replace Zion Corpus Christi Outreach Ministries, meaning I claim these promises for our community and for our friends. So, I and the children whom the Lord has given me are for signs and for wonders. See, signs. My sister Laura was, you could say she was one of the first converts from the New Jersey area. That was fruit from our ministry, preaching. And so, her picture was lighting up. Her painting, her portrait on the living room. And that would have been, I explained to my mother, I said, that's a way that God can be confirming Laura's with the Lord. But Jesus said, don't you remember what happened with Moses? Because they were questioning him. They said, the Sadducees, they didn't believe in the resurrection. So they're going to question Jesus about the resurrection. I taught this recently. They said, well, Jesus, there was this brother who was married to a wife. And the brother died, but that wife never bear any children. So another brother married that wife. This is the law of the kinsman in the Old Testament, meaning if you did have a brother married to a wife and they didn't have kids yet, when the brother died, then the other brother would be next in line just to keep the family line going, and he would marry that wife. So you would try to keep the name of the various family line. So that was actually an Old Testament rule. So the Sadducees are asking Jesus about it and saying, so this brother died, married her, this one died, and all seven married her, but they never had any kids. But their question to Jesus was, so Jesus, in the resurrection, whose wife will she be? Because all seven were married. They're questioning the resurrection, these Sadducees. And he says, oh, you greatly err. You don't know the scriptures nor the power of God. He says, in the resurrection, they neither marry nor are given in marriage, whereas the angels of God. There's not going to be that type of marriage in the sense that we understand, because we're all going to be married. We are married to the bridegroom, which is Jesus, and we are the corporate bride. So they didn't understand that. And then he said, and also, didn't you read in the book of Moses when God appeared to him out of the bush, the burning bush? And what did God tell Moses? I'm the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. He is not the God of the dead, but of the living. So my sister, who I led to the Lord, she's alive in the presence of God. And if some way God rules in the affairs of men, if he wants to light a old Christmas toy that the batteries have been dead for 2 years, I mean, that's nothing. Or a picture on the wall. You see, he's not the God of the dead, but of the living.